What's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? Have a special guest for you guys today. What's going on, Wilson? How you doing?
Good.
You can hear me all right?
Yes.
Awesome.
This is a new experience for me.
That's cool. Thank you guys for showing up with us today.
Yep.
Infinite Creative. We have a special guest, but first things first, before we start, I tell us to all the beautiful infinite creators out there. We salute the divinity in you. We respect the divinity in you. Thank you guys for showing up to the channel. We appreciate you. So we gonna dive right into it right now. Good morning, good Saturday morning. I hope everybody's having a good strong end and doing everything they got to do to take care of themselves. So we got a special guest. I've been checking out Wilson, Wakundama.
Yes.
We're gonna get right into it. We're gonna dive right into it. We're gonna ask you to tell us the origins. First of all, you could tell us your name, how'd you come up with the name, and you could expound on that for us a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So my real name was Wilson, the legal name, but it actually started off, I think around year 2000. I was actually asked if I would like to raise some money for the Leukemia Society of America. And one of the things that I was trying to do was I actually was thinking of a T-shirt design. And that process of a T-shirt design actually ended up with me creating, I'm wearing, well, you can see
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
So,
I like it.
yeah, ended up creating this logo here.
Sweet.
And so how I came up, and so there was some story about putting some meaning behind it. So the center part of that was running. So actually, maybe I should just show this one here and then talk through it.
Okay.
So in the middle, you see there's a runner.
Mm-hmm.
So that was there. On the far over there, that character, that's the character for Chinese character for horse.
Okay.
So I was born in the year of the horse. So this is me, the runner. And then this is the spiral, means spiritual journey. So I was initially looking for some symbols that represented what I was doing, but ultimately it expanded beyond that. So the symbols themselves kind of represent or try to say the horse that seeks to be of this great spirit. And the words below it are actually mirroring that. So all over there, you see this this word ma. See the ma word there?
Yep.
The ma is horse, Chinese ma. And then wakun, the words before that I was looking up Lakota Indian, and that meant great spirit. So again, horse, the da was just a connector in there. Horse that seeks to be of the great spirit. So you see it in pictures and in words. So I am born in the year of the horse, constantly on this journey, seeking to be of the great spirit. So that's Wakundama.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. So you took us a little bit on your early journey. You were raising money, raising awareness for cancer, and that's how that whole idea came up.
That's not necessarily how the ideas behind like the whole thing. It was just an idea. I wanted a logo that would make a nice logo that had some deep meaning for a T-shirt, and then I ultimately used that to sell T-shirts. Mm-hmm. And in that, I think I ended up raising almost close to $8,000 for that. So it was a nice experience. But from that, some things much bigger than that happened. So that was back in 2000, and since then I've published 2 books on spirituality. A lot of my struggles, personal struggles since then, and things that seem to come up within me of ways of managing those struggles based upon teachings. I mean, I was raised Catholic, teachings within my base religion in Christianity, but then I broadened out into things I learned from Buddhism, Hinduism, and other I guess things that I would pick up from people such as Gandhi, Mother Teresa, even things in Islam, in Muslim. It's like, so I kind of pieced together over my life the bits and pieces of wisdom from all the major religions, all the spiritual followings. And this is what created the books behind the 2 books I published. And this logo, this word, this is my identity that carries on forward.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
So take us to what happened to cause you to search for meaning in, let's say, spirituality, because you talk about divine purpose a lot. What took you down that path?
Okay. Well, that I would just say was parts of it had to do with time, and it was actually kind of close to that time when the year 2000, maybe even a little before that. My wife and I were going through some struggles. She, in particular, was going through a lot of health-related issues, which I think we saw lots of different doctors, and they never really could quite place what the full issue was. And at that time, we started also seeing these energy, the healers. And what was interesting was from that experience, so I guess we'd venture off into what's considered traditional Westernized medicine to something that's a little more holistic, Eastern alternative type of medicine. And what we were surprised was the impact it had. It just was something very noticeable about it, the impact. And it was a lot to do with just, from, if I look back at it now, a lot to do with it was not necessarily the method of treatment, the technique. It was very much about the state of energy of the person, their being, that actually seemed to have the biggest impact. So that was one piece. And during this time also, I actually started to enter a deep place of depression. Because that for a long part of this time, we never could really quite get to a resolution as to what was fully affecting her. So that place, I would say, I started to become what one would say is a caretaking. And there's this aspect when you go into the mode of caretaking. There's one aspect initially when you go down the road of caretaking that initially makes you feel good. But it's like, I get my self-esteem off of helping somebody else. But the one part of the danger of doing that, if you keep doing that, if you're in a mode of you need that for your self-esteem, like the feedback, then you can go down this path of what sometimes they call a codependent type of relationship, where you actually start doing things for the other person that they could potentially do it for themselves, just because it makes you feel better. And this is actually, I'm going to think of another example that's related to that other people might find if they're in a family where somebody is addicted to drugs. It's like they need it. The simple solution at that time is just to get over that hump is you give them that drug or the alcohol. It's like, because you're kind of locked into this. So that was one aspect that I started to go through. Although at that time I didn't know that's what was happening. So because of that, I started to go into a really, really deep place of depression, because I had this aspect that I thought when you help somebody, that's good, just help. But there's behind that, there was this aspect of, because you think that that's a selfless thing to do. And selflessness, generally you have this vision, selflessness is good, you give and give and give. But when you do that, and you do that at your own expense, what that does is it builds this type of relationship where, yes, you are giving to somebody else and you're doing it at your own expense, But what that does is it starts to build a resentment inside. And that's something I didn't really realize until many years later. And when I want to think of, it just makes me think of this one book. I forget what the name of it, but she described, actually the book was called Codependency Anonymous. So that's why I talk about this codependency.
Mm-hmm.
She described, she gave this a brilliant example of what it kind of means like to be if you're in this mode of codependency. It's like there's this elderly lady, she's walking across the street and you're helping her and you constantly help her across the street, but then every time maybe she criticizes you, but you still like, oh yeah. But at some point, it's like you want to beat them on the head. But that energy comes through, and it just. So this is the thing. What I started to understand is this aspect of it really is you to make everything better. You really need to start with yourself, love of self. You don't go with, oh boy, I feel bad, so I'm going to help you. Because what you're saying is, I can't help myself, so I might as well help you. That's not a good place to be. When you do that, you might initially it might go well, but then there's going to be resentment, and that resentment, that no matter how hard you try to cover up, pretend that you're not resentful, it comes through. They can feel it, and then that only hurts them.
So you did just to elaborate on that a little bit for you. You talked about the illusion of selfishness and selflessness. Could you explain that a little bit? Because you went into being selfish a little bit in selflessness.
Yeah. So I would say I spent a long time going back and forth on that because I think what all of us have been taught, and I think I still hear it a lot, is this ideal of it's good to be selfless. Think of others. So you start off with that. But if you just keep going on that, then we get to this place of this codependency, and it's like resentment, and you're taking, okay. And then we hear this other saying, oh, self-care, you got to take care of yourself. And then you're conflicted. It's like, okay, it's good to take care of myself, but then if you take care of yourself, someone's going to go, aha, you're being selfish.
Facts.
Oh, shoot. Okay. So if you're in this mode of just, this is a world of selfish and selflessness, then it feels like, geez, I got mixed message. So that means I need to play this game. I need to play this game that to you, I need to look selfless. So it's like I'm doing things. And then as soon as you don't look at me, it's like selfish. And then when you, so it just basically, there's mixed messages and it doesn't make sense. And you're constantly playing a lie because it's like, okay, I am playing a lie. I want you to think that I'm selfless and giving away, but in private, I'm hiding from you that I'm selfish. And when I am taking care of myself, even though there's words that are saying, oh, that's good for you, there's still that, because of that part that's still in your head that's saying selfless is good, selfish is bad. You're taking care of yourself a little bit of guilt. It's like, oh, I'm taking care of myself. I feel a little bit guilty. So what ends up happening is you come to this place of, okay, so the best way to do things is, and they like to code things, instead of calling selfish, they call it self-care. Self-care is the nice way to call what we call selfish. So self-care, and then what we think is, okay, the best way to do it is a balance. It's a balance between selfish and selflessness. So self-care is this careful balance, but again, it's always stressful. And at some point, and actually it wasn't until fairly recently, and then that's what came up in my second book, which was just published this year, actually just middle of last year, was selflessness and selfishness. It's all based upon the external activities that we do. We're looking at, oh, the person's giving. Ah, they are selfless. They are good. Oh, they're taking. Oh, they're selfish and they're bad. They're buying themselves stuff. They're buying. They're eating well. It's like as opposed to spending the money. And what I saw is that's all based upon judgments of external activities. And the truth is, the way to self-love, it is not about what you do externally. It's about what you feel and think of yourself internally. It's a state of being. It is not about doing. So if I want to do a practice of self-love, it's not, what should I buy for myself? How should I feed myself? I mean, those are nice things about the external self-care, but I want to be centered in just a state of love. And I want my state of love needs to be independent of whether I give something, whether I take something, other my actions. So an example of self-love practice would be trying to do a self-love meditation. Or I've been starting to share this technique, which I think in psychology, they started coming out with something called heart-assisted therapy. And I took a little spin of that and kind of adopted it as a quick way of starting to teach people how to be self-love, not how to do it. So how to be self-love. So I'll just give a couple minutes, just demonstration.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to get up a little bit higher so you can see my hands are on my heart. So what I would do, for example, is I would put my hands on my heart, both hands, and I might look in the mirror, or I just might look out in space, but then say to myself something like, deep in my heart, I love and accept myself just as I am. And just let those words resonate. And then switch my hands. And then say the words again and say, deep in my heart, I love and accept myself just as I am. And then breathe that in. And then I will do it just one more time, just to have that sink in. Deep in my heart, I love and accept myself just as I am. And I think in some of my videos, I even do like a self-hug, just, I love myself just as I am. So here's me, I am loving myself. And it's just me. It's my state of being. It's not about me taking something or giving something. It's just here. And so once I'm in this state, once I can hold it, it's like, man, Wilson, it's just amazing. You're here. And all the things that I can go back in time, all the things that I've struggled through, all the things that I've overcome. It's like, you're an amazing person. No one will ever know quite how it was, because only me, I just know that. And I was with me. It's like, and so I can sit and it's like, wow, you're an amazing person. I love you. The things that you've done that nobody else has seen, I love you. And so I hold that state. And so now there's no question. I feel loved. It's me. And now from that place, I can decide whether I want to give something or take something. I'm in a place of love. I can give from my place of love. I can take from a place of love. What other people say and decide, what other people's opinions, doesn't matter anymore. It's me. So what I start to see is then these words, selfish and selflessness, they are based upon somebody else's observations and judgments of external actions. They are judgments, and judgments ultimately are an illusion. So then selfishness and selflessness, the concept really is an illusion because they're based on judgments.
Wow.
Just come to self-love. That's it.
That. I definitely feel that. I definitely feel that. So with that, let's go into energy. You talk about energy and you talk about the 7 chakras. For those who don't know what the 7 chakras are, can you put some light on that for us? And you can explain the importance of the 7 chakras and energy as well.
Yes. So when I was first introduced to the 7 chakras, like most anyone, if you were to go and read about it, you'd get a discussion about maybe how based upon traditions in I think the Indian culture, like in the Far East, there's something called Vedic culture or Hinduism. They had these regions at which or connected to generally to certain states of being or emotions. But what I want to do is I start off with some very intuitive things. So intuitive, I think most everybody, the chest, the middle, the heart, intuitively that everyone understands and feels as related to love. And we do that instinctively. It's like anything love or anything we need support that's speaking from the heart, there's a natural instinctive when you touch that, it supports that. So this is called the heart chakra. And numerically, it's, if we go through the 7 chakras, it's approximately in the middle. It happens to be called the 4th chakra. So that's one area. Other areas are like when we want to get a better sense of things, like we're thinking, we want to see better. It's like, geez, what was I thinking of? I can't remember. Oh, I have a headache. Not sure I can see what this is. So this is an intuitive, instinctual attempt to open up what was sometimes called the 6th chakra, or the third eye. So there's a concept, well, we have 2 eyes, but there's this other eye, which is trying to see, not necessarily physically, but see what's the right thing to do? What's the future? What is this? It doesn't quite make sense. So 6th chakra, 4th chakra, in between this is about, some people call it speaking the truth, but this is, the 5th chakra has to do with alignment with divine will, speaking the truth. And then 7th chakra is the top of the head, sometimes called the crown chakra. That is connected with the divine knowing. So you got 7 is the top, divine knowing. 6 is the ability to see, sort of a divine seeing, divine thoughts. 5th is divine will. 4th is heart. Third is if you go pick a point above your belly button and below the rib cage, it's in that area. 3rd has to do with self-esteem. It has to do with instinct. So that's why in our language, because it's kind of in the stomach area, they ask, what's your gut feeling? When you get stressed, it's like, oh, it's here. When I feel fear, it's like, oh man, I'm tight here. That's the 3rd chakra. It's about like the thoughts of self. It connects with your intuition. When you get stressed, it's self-esteem. When you feel better about yourself, or you don't feel so good or insecure, you'll feel it here. You'll get ulcers if you don't feel secure.
I hear you. What
Then
about? Go ahead.
So that's 3. 1 below that, in your groin area, that's your 2nd chakra. Has to do with sexuality. So, but also beyond just even the physical act of sex, it's also creativity. So lots of the creative stuff that we do, it's there. And then finally below that, it's a point, kind of, if you took your legs, let's say this is my legs, and you had points pointing straight down, that's the 1st chakra. And that's just your point of instantiation, the point of just coming and physically being in this world, this place. So those are the 7 chakras.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what took you down that path to learn that information? Because you said you were studying over a 20-year period, and you were grasping from different areas and different places, different religions. So I'm going to say it wasn't one thing, but there was other information that you came across. What are some of the things that you've come across, whether it's reading, whether it's practices like you talk about meditation? Can you share something with the beautiful infinite creators on what helped you along your path?
Okay. So one thing I would say is, even as I went through and learned about the chakras, even as I, even with my wife, even though some of the things based upon the concepts in energy healing helped her, they did not ultimately get to what we would call the root cause. Because every time you find this another way of technique, it's like, oh yeah, that kind of works. But in the end, you need to come to the root cause. And strangely, many years ago, I actually was starting to teach a class on spirituality, trying to bring all these different things together. And I think at that time when I was bringing all these things together, there was just too many things. It was all scattered. It's like, Here's a little bit of technique from this. Here's a little bit. And one of my classes, nobody showed up. And I was like, oh, boy. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? So I just said, okay, I'm just going to start teaching the class. I started teaching class, and then I paused there. And I was like, root cause. What's root cause? It's like, and it just came in my mind. It's like, whoa, there's this thing we call spirit, you know, and we think of spirit right now as just, oh, spirit. Oh, what is spirit? Oh, that's like maybe the ghostly thing in you. Oh, no, that's that thing that's bigger than you. That's that thing that's, and, but if you ask somebody, it's like, it always doesn't get that clear. It's like, it's mysterious. It's just, so I found myself thinking about, okay, but in real life, well, how do we use spirit? Not like say so much in a religious, spiritual sense, but how would we use spirit? So when somebody says team spirit, American spirit, Olympic spirit, fighting spirit, they're not talking about, let's say team. It's like team. Oh, you know, it's like they're talking about what's the purpose of this team getting together. What's the purpose, let's say Olympic spirit, for us to get together? Because when we have purpose, then each of us as individuals become greater once we align to the purpose. So then that made it offered a different way. So when we talk about spirit, let's say we go back into something that's more, let's say, think of a religious type of thing. Instead of going into, oh, it's that mysterious thing in a mysterious ways, and you need to go to a priest or a guru. It's like, no, it's about purpose. Purpose, what purpose of your life? Purpose. And in that purpose, you start asking questions like, you know, and you only generally ask questions when things go bad. If everything was always good, there's no need to go into questions. Everything's good. But when things go bad, it's like, why is this happening? Why does it seem like when I try real hard, it doesn't work? And that person, at least I perceive when they don't try, it always works for them. It's just not fair. Why is that? Why is that? Those are begging questions about purpose. And that, if you do that, that is spirituality for real, when you start focusing on that spirituality for real. So that was the sort of the beginning part of actually what I eventually started writing in my first book. And my books actually are called Spirituality for Real. So it's like, okay, if you want to stay in like your spirituality is just going, you know, every week to some church or temple, and you know, it's just done on a certain weekday or week, and then you go back and doing it. Okay, that's you if you're happy with that mysterious spirituality, that's one thing. But if you want it to be every day of your life, every second, when you're also at those times when you're complaining about something else or something, instead of like blaming somebody else, why don't you ask, what's the purpose of this? Why don't you, instead of assuming everything I do is good and it's somebody else who's making it bad, actually consider, could there actually be a purpose to this? The thing that's coming to me that I perceive as something bad from somebody else, possibly is there maybe a lesson, or maybe even question, why is it? Because I assume that it's bad. I made a judgment. Why is it that you come and ask for help? Why is it that I feel like this is bad? What is it within me? So there's some aspect now of an introspection that I don't assume, don't be so arrogant, assume that I'm good, that's bad. Question, it's like, what is it in me that's making it feel so bad? And so one person I think that was really helpful in this, because it happened because I tended to be the person again that always tried to please people. Very easily can go into a codependent relationship. I was like, oh yes, oh I don't want to get you angry. Okay, I'll do it for you. Yes, can you do it? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And then meantime, it's like, damn. I don't want to. Somebody said, you know what? You're like Saint Mother Teresa. It's like, because you just do. It's like, and there's part of me, it's like, yeah, I guess that's kind of nice. Part of me is like, didn't like that. It's like, oh, come on. It's like, yeah, you're like a mother. And you know what I did? I decided to go read about her. It's like, what did she say? It's like, how'd she do? And I always remembered about her was like, that seems so incredibly saintly. Was her thing was she was in India, the poorest of the poor there, taking care of these people that were have leprosy. And it's like, I haven't really seen it, but I've told it's like so disgusting and it's terrible. And they were interviewing her about that, and she said, you know what, how do you do it? And she said, oh, you know what, I'm human and there's no way I could do that. They're incredibly disgusting. There's no way I could bring myself to that. But it's like, yeah, but you did it. How did you do that? And she said, and for her, the person she connected to was Jesus. So she said, when I do this, I see that every person there with leprosy is Jesus, and then I can do it. So the way I took that then was to more generalize that is see within others, the Jesus, the God, whoever it is that you hold, just see with it in them. I think even Gandhi kind of had this statement that if you cannot see the God in another person, then you need no look for any further. So it's like,
salute the divinity in you.
Yeah. So if you can see the divinity in every person, that somewhat strangely gives you the power to do something that no human can possibly do. And so within my what I started coming up with is this idea of, okay, there's an aspect first that starts off of loving of oneself. And then I started to come to the concept that with myself, truly the only person that I have to focus on to make myself better and to make the world better is just me. So what I can do is I can make the world better by the way I alter my perceptions, just the way that Mother Teresa, she altered her perception. She's not treating an individual just leprosy. She's treating Jesus Christ here, Jesus Christ here. That gave her. So I altered my perception. First of all, I started off with this statement: I am the one. I am the one, at least for me. And from that state of I was the one, then I started off with why, like my interactions with other people. And let's say more of the nasty interactions or the other people that I wish, it's like, wow, that person looks good. I wish I were like that. Or even the other way, oh, that person looks bad. Well, I'm glad I'm not that person. So I'm comparing myself. But if I go back into I am the one, let's say this perception of I am the one, I even said, I started my second book. Let's start with perception that, let's say you are the one and only real person in this world. What if you were the only one and real person? What if everything around you is a virtual reality? If it's a virtual reality, what do you have to fear from it? It's like, oh, I want to be better than this other person. That's not real. Being better than is not real. I'm better than this other. That's not real. Then I took it one step further. So there's an aspect by adopting that initial perception, you can kind of downtone the pain, downtone the fear. Then I next approached everything also beyond being virtual. They are there for a lesson. They are your teachers. It's like, wow. They are there to support you. Everything that comes to you, even the things that you may not like, are actually there to grow and teach you. And it's like, okay, so that shifts my perception into going straight out of blame into more of like, only thing that I can control is myself, the way I perceive things. So instead of saying, why is that person making me feel bad? Go into, why is it that I'm feeling bad about, let's say, what the other person's saying? Because often, even when somebody's putting a criticism, the only reason why it actually, if it ever hurts you, is because you have that inside of you first. And they did touch it. It's like, wow. That's why it's good to ask, because you have it already and they just kind of touched it. but you don't want to like admit it. You want to say it's so the lesson. Then finally I added another layer, which is this idea of seeing the God within others. So it's like, I am the one, I am the real one. Everyone else is just to teach me. They're virtual in terms of how they impact me. And then I add a layer, and oh, one more thing. Everyone else is God. See the God within others. So it's like, oh, and that puts a layer of reverence. So
Yes.
when you come to me, it's not even like, oh, it's like, thank you.
There you go. About.
Thank you.
About.
Thank you. And so when I can hold this space, not that I can always hold it, but I can remind myself that I'm in this place that there's nothing that could hurt me. In fact, nobody wants to hurt me. In the end, they want to help me. Maybe in the short term, I can't quite see it. If I can't quite see it, I ask, I need some help. This is a lesson that's really hard for me. I need some help. I'm feeling bad. Like, why am I feeling bad? What is the lesson in this? What is the lesson in this?
Cool. Let's dive into the dance and how that come about.
Okay.
You know, I love it. I love watching you dance. You definitely got you have this calm and presence about you. I don't know if people tell you this or you realize that, but you have this real calm and presence about you. But take us into the dancing and, like I said, energy, emotion, and getting into it and feeling it and activating different chakras in the system.
Yep.
Just talk to us a little bit how this come about and why did you create this?
Yes. So I'm going to say, because there's a lot of things I would just say, when you align with the flow of divinity, just the flow, natural flow of life, sometimes things happen that don't seem to quite make sense intellectually. It's like logically, it doesn't make any sense, but something feels good about it. So that's what I would describe how this dancing came about. Because I had some interest in energy, this is back in about 2010. I actually enrolled in an energy healing school. It's called the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. And it was actually a 4-year program. It was almost structured like a 4-year college. 4-year program where you were trained to become an energy healer. The idea was actually come out of it certified by them to start a practice as an energy healer. The thing about it, that school is, if you find out, is about, I'm going to say 5% of the time in the school is about doing the techniques of the energy. The other 95% is improving yourself, finding your own wounds, finding those things, asking those questions. Why is this bothering me? Like when you're interacting with somebody, you're in a school, the teachers will then focus on you. It's like, you seem bothered by that. Why is that? What's going on there? And so that's what was so powerful about that school. When I was in that school, the first week of that school, all I remember was, they actually had they call it a social gathering. Turned out it was the school dance. Just was like a school dance. And I don't know how or why or whatever it is, but I think I would probably attribute to a lot of the school because it was working on each of us. I think what the school, I would actually call this, it really was not for me, the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. It was the Barbara Brennan School of how to be a human.
Oh.
How to be a human. Nobody ever, there's no, this was truly a school of how to be a human. And so they opened up things. And so when I was in that dance, things came out.
Wow.
And one of the things that I observed, at least for myself, is when I dance to music, I kind of it's not really me dancing to the music. It's more, I let the music dance me. So like, I think what I also remember is, I'm going to say there's some aspects of me that I really am not very good at dancing, even though you'll watch the videos. If you ask me, if you teach me some steps to dance, I'm going to be terrible. I can't do that. When you have your choreographs on, or I can't because it gets in the mind. I just can't do it. But if you give me music and just say, do your stuff, it's like, I can do that.
That's what's
And
up.
but then when they say, how'd you do that? Can you repeat? It's like, oh, I can't repeat it. I just did it. Okay. I can't do. And so it'll be a different dance.
Yeah.
So that's what came out was, and because it was the music dancing me, what I remember about whenever I dance that way is I'm actually part of the audience watching myself dance. And at some points there's like some movement that's like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's like, yeah, I like that. And it's like, so there is a natural joy in that. So that's what came out of the school. And so what I say is, what I talked about, some part that doesn't quite make sense is this really brings joy, but I'm also going this other path of this book, which is in the head of like trying to bring spirituality for real. And then I'm doing dance. And so initially, when I was starting to do this on Instagram, and I think the initial thing was, well, maybe the dancing will attract some attention so that maybe they'll be interested and they want to get the book. So I would do post quote from the book, post dancing. And so people were like, oh, that's cool dancing. And then they're like, yeah, but I don't get it. It's like, but then this is where it started to come together. When I was starting to have and this was actually when I initially started posting those videos on the dancing, and I was starting to feel bad. I think that that time I had started a new job at this bank, and they were really brutal in terms of the amount of things they expect you to do. And what I did was I took those videos, because when I dance, the thing that helps me is I like lyrics. I basically act out the song. So whatever the song is, and sometimes I don't even know what they're saying, but I can hear the mood of the music and I act it out. And when I filmed it, I put it together. I actually synchronized the song with it, and I found a lot of times my mouth was enough in sync, even though I didn't know what I was saying, that it looked really real. But what really helped it was my body was actually expressing the music. And when I saw it and I overlaid the lyrics, a lot of these songs were about like picking you up and motivating you. It's like, it's okay, it's tough. And I viewed it. It was like, oh my God. There's like this angel singing to me. It's like, you can make it. Well, it's like, it looks real, and it's a song. And I think even one of the songs actually almost made me cry. It was like, oh my God, if I framed these songs like that for others, I wonder what it would do for them. And that's what it started doing. So it's like, here I am with the book, and now through the sense of a non-verbal way, helping heal people. And so that's how they got connected together. That's why I'm doing the dancing. And I think one more thing why I'm still motivated to like pursue this journey of dance more is, I remember I stumbled upon, I was looking at TED Talks. You've seen the TED Talks? And I was looking, what's the most popular TED Talk? And I clicked the most popular TED Talk, and it was this guy named Sir Ken Robinson. Had the most popular TED Talk in history. And he was just talking about education, or education system. I think his title was, Does Our Current Education System Kill Creativity? And he talked about in there, it's like, our education system, it really like puts math and sciences at the top, maybe the languages in there. And at the bottom, where they put art? Art's at the bottom. And in art, there's another hierarchy. They put at the top, it's like painting, pottery, fine arts. You know what's at the bottom? Dance. Dance is at the bottom of arts. So he's saying, what if we actually even things out and put more stress on, let's say, dancing? And so that was actually when I saw it, it's like, wow, he's got something there. There was actually a message. It's like, there's something in dancing, what I would say is, for me, like maybe I'm in maybe just general social situations talking, I might find myself a bit initially shy, but when I'm in that connection, I'm connecting with the music. and I am just letting the music dance to me, I feel alive.
Mm.
And so it does so much for my self-esteem. It does so much that, let's say in these interviews, maybe I'm nervous, but when I can imagine that, I'm alive, I'm acting. So the dancing, I can see in that guy with the most watched TED Talk ever in history, he's kind of pointing this out. It's the dancing that, let's get that up in there. If
Yeah.
we do that in our kids, bring that in, because there's an aspect of dancing, it's actually kind of vulnerable. It's like when you dance, like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be. So my goal is, if I was going to teach dancing, my goal is, I'm not going to teach you how to dance any type of steps. You can watch something else for that. I want to teach you how to feel the dance. I want you to teach you how to dance your dance, not somebody else, your dance.
Gotcha.
Then that's what I want to do.
Let me ask you this. What do you hope to accomplish with Wakundama? What is the mission and what's the purpose? I know you teach spirituality, and I know you teach dance, and I know dance may be the attention getter, but what do you hope to pass along, hope to share with the beautiful infinite creators and the people that you come across?
Yeah, what I would just say, what I'm hoping to pass on is just a way of being that brings healing and love to oneself as well as to all others. Because I want you to, because like I said, if I first off, I take you out of this twisted illusion of selfish and selflessness, because that causes us so much turmoil in this world. It's like, no. Love of self. And when you do the love of self, of the being, not the doing of things, the being, then you can start to gradually find your way of, like, if you feel good yourself completely, then you're not affected by what other people say. If you can then start seeing others are teachers, lessons, if you can start to trust that the God is within all, they're there to serve you and help you. And if you feel any pain, it's a misunderstanding. It's a lesson, and you can ask for help, a lesson. Then you create both the solution to your happiness as well as a solution to the happiness in terms of how you deal with each other. One thing I remember about being in the Barbara Brennan School, the reason why I had to go, actually, when I went to a workshop to that,
Mm-hmm.
what I realized was I actually didn't want to go there to be an energy healer. So I don't work as an energy healer. What I wanted to learn was, if we learned the techniques, which is just about more appreciating the feelings, more of our sensitivity, more of being able to dance our dance, then there would be no wars. There would be, it's just, in terms of, if I have a conflict with you, initial, it's like, okay, I see the God. The God is within you. With all, what is the lesson here? What is the lesson? No blame. What is the lesson here? And then when I see the God in you, I also reminder reverence. It's like, if we can do that more, it's like no wars. A place of where we value not so much achieving things, but value things like love, compassion, patience, kindness. Like sometimes we get struck over what's the right thing to do. Yes, but sometimes the thing that you think, oh, that's the right thing to do, I gotta but it's the kind thing to do. So one of the things is, like, if you're faced with a choice of what's the right thing to do and the kind thing to do, I say choose the kind thing. So kindness, forgiveness, if we can value those things, that's what I want to try to encourage, at least do my part. And the only way ultimately that I'll do my part is I'm just going to be me, just express me. And
I
then,
bow before you. I
yeah.
humbly bow before you. Could you talk to us about the law of attraction? Because you hear a lot of things about the law of attraction, and I heard you basically talk about it a little bit. Can you please tell all the beautiful infinite creators out there a little bit about the law of attraction?
Okay. So the law of attraction, one thing I would say about it, so there is an aspect of the law of attraction that thinks about the energy that you are in. you will attract things based upon that energy. So there's a truth to that. But one aspect, if you just leave it at that, that could create more turmoil for you, is if you go down the law of attraction route of, I want things, want money, big things, fancy, and it's like, and you wish, and you think, oh, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be wealthy, I'm going to be, because the truth is actually, I would say, and what I called, I'm going to say my modified or updated form of law of attraction is you attract into your life what it is that you need for your growth. And the other thing I would go forward is, wherever you are, whatever state you're in, you will always attract a perfect gift, no matter what. So in this world of law of attraction, let's say if you're just narrowly focused on, I want this good, because there's also a part they sometimes is taught of, okay, just think positive. Okay, but there's some part of me that's kind of like not feeling so good. Okay, just ignore that. I'm afraid. Ignore that. It's like, when you do that, I would call what you do, you are actually, in your attempt so much to ignore the negative. A negative and positive, by the way, are judgments. Judgments are illusions. When you do that effort, you are actually then being negative. It's like the effort, like, okay, don't look at that, look at that. You are ignoring that because actually underneath, you're afraid of looking at it. So I'd say embrace everything you are, even the parts that you don't like, all your faults. Even your faults are actually great teachers. So if there's angry part of a meditation, it's like, angry part, hello, angry part, come in, sit down with me. You are welcome. Because there's some part of why was that part angry? That needs to be heard. That story needs to be heard, to be healed. And then once it's healed, you're whole. So when you do that, so law of attraction, I would just say, instead of worrying about how to do a law of attraction, I kind of want to promote the idea of that you don't really have to worry about trying to do anything. You will always attract the perfect gift. You may not appreciate the gift that comes to you at certain points, but understand it's the perfect gift, always, wherever you're at. And then when it comes to you, you just namaste, thank you. I mean, if it's something that's pleasant, then you say thank you. If it's something that feels unpleasant, it's like, thank you, but I need help. Why is this bothering me? Why do I feel this way? But I understand it's from God. It's divine. And God, divine, the universe, they've never, ever have intention to hurt me. I mean, with all the infinite wisdom, why would they go through all the trouble to create me just to hurt me? It's like, makes no sense. They only make things make sense. They created me because they wanted to help me. That's it, to grow me. So that's it. So if I assume that and something comes at me and it's like not feeling so good, it's like, it's not because it's not good. It's more of like, it's a lesson. So what is it? Help me. So everything that comes to you is always the perfect gift. You will always attract it, no matter what state you're in. And once you release that, it's like, then you can relax. Don't have to worry about, oh boy, I got to be positive. Just be who you are, and then trust whatever comes is the perfect gift, and then learn how to accept it, how to grow from it.
So I hear you talk about being a lot. You talk about being and just being, like being in love, being one. Was there an aha moment? Was there a specific moment? Was there a road to Damascus moment where you saw the light and you're like, I got to do something different? And can you expound on that and explain that to us?
I would say that moment, actually, when I described that moment, I understood that selfishness and selflessness, that whole thing was an illusion. That if you want to stick with it, it's just going to cause you lots of turmoil and headache. And once I could let go of that and see that it was all about the doing. See, a lot of us, we're focused on doing things, doing this, doing that. It's like, so actually, I remember somebody says, oh, I love you. And then there's somebody goes, yes, but what have you done for me lately?
Facts.
It's done. It's like, Yes, because we're focused on the external. And in fact, ultimately, the only way we can truly feel love, actually from another self, it must actually start from yourself. Because whatever, actually, because in the end, the other thing is, the only thing that somebody else could ever interact with you, it's their doing. But what's the being? The only thing that you could ever be to do the being is just yourself.
Facts.
And the being, that's why I said it just so it's like doing this thing, the heart. All other things I've done before is like you look in the mirror and you look at yourself. And initially, for some people, actually, this is a difficult exercise. If you just look at yourself in the mirror, it's like they look at the blemishes, they go, oh, ooh, ooh, ooh. It's like, but it's like you look at it, and then, and you come into appreciation of this is you, and then come to appreciation of, I mean, I got wrinkles on my forehead. It's like, yes, but this is me. I've seen this face more and more. It's like there is no other person. Like if anything was different about this, the way I see it, it wouldn't be me. It'd just be some imposter. And this is me. And once I can do that, there's a sense of being like if I saw a complete different face in there, maybe initially it's like, okay, I see a different face there, but there'd be a sense of it's an imposter. Somehow it just doesn't feel right. I feel lost. But if I see this face that I see right now, it's like, okay, but I know it's me. And just to know it's me, actually, once I can get that perception, it's like, I'm so glad it's me rather than an imposter where I would just feel so empty. Then it makes that starts to fill the self-love. Because that ideal of that imposter thing, I think that comes up with a lot of times in the world, we look at celebrities, how they do. And then we wonder, like, sometimes, why is it that they do some things that seem like they're unhappy? They take a lot of drugs. Eventually they overdose, why is that? Because some of that is that imposter there, because they're constantly, it's like under pressure, trying to be, I mean, do, but just to like, if you could just settle, just being, just as you are. It's like, I recognize this face. Then you don't have this feeling of, geez, I don't recognize myself. I don't recognize. It's like, yes, this is me. This is me. Then I feel like it. Then it's not like it's not, instead of like I'm all high on a pedestal. It's like, no, I'm just me. It's like the everyday me that I get to see, that I trust. I feel safe. And then why would I want anything more to break that up? I feel safe. I feel. So that's, I'm trying to convey the sense of being, because it's very, in some ways, it's difficult to maybe understand the being, because it's like, how do I do it? How do I do it? I want to be really hard. It's like, no.
Just be.
Just be. Probably some example, the practice you could do is probably meditation. The more you are in a place where there's nothing to do, you're in a room and it's quiet. In fact, I would say, in a strange way, we've gone through this global pandemic. It's given us this opportunity to be more. It's been really hard for a lot of people just to be.
DJ, I don't want to interrupt you, but DJ Yannick said you are the man, and he wanted me to let you know that before he leaves. So I'm just going to tell you that. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, but he just he insisted on me telling you how much he adores you. Also, is there a meditation that's helped you? Because you shared that meditation in the beginning.
Yes.
I'm going to definitely check this video out again. You shared it, and I'm going to learn that. But is there any meditation, any books, anything that you can share with the beautiful creators that's helped you along your journey?
I would actually, and this is maybe sounds like a promotion for me, but it's actually what I would say is the best thing is if you look at that. Let's see if I can move that there. Yeah.
Let's see.
There we go. So those are the two books I put out. Those are basically the distillation of, if you go through those, of uh, coming to like understanding of my understanding of energy, and understanding of this concept of be the one, yet everyone else is God. Hold reverence. Everything is a gift. And then all the meditations in there. Like there's links in there to the website, which actually has meditations on it. In fact, if you went to wakundama.com, you don't necessarily have to get the book, but I do have some of those meditations already there. But it's helpful if you get the book, so you get the background behind the meditations. So if you do those and watch, I think in my Instagram, watch those posts, because that's my goal every week. It's like it's actually, in some ways, for the moment, it feels like it's my full-time job right now. I'm trying to share both the practice of loving myself, as well as the practice with everybody else, just healing for yourselves, healing for each other, love, compassion, patience, forgiveness, kindness, especially kindness over worrying about being right. Just if you focus on those, you're there.
How can beautiful infinite creators contact you? How can they get in touch with you on social media, email, support? Let us know where we can find you.
So the best thing is, I would say, seems like the best avenue is you go on Instagram. So on Instagram, it's Wakundama. Just search up that Wakundama, at Wakundama, and then you'll find me there. And then you can just go through me through the DM there, DM messaging me. That's where I tend to be most active.
Okay, so we usually ask all our guests to give us some parting words for all the beautiful infinite creators before we get out for this live.
Yep.
And we're gonna ask you, Wilson, Wakundama, the Haas, all that good stuff that you were sharing with us on your path and your journey and your spiritual journey. Could you leave the beautiful infinite creators with some parting words?
Yes. So what I would just say is, I want to remind you that you are all divine creations. You are all loved and perfect, just as you are. And you know why? It's because you exist. That's it. It's because you exist. And that's it.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it, beautiful ladies and gentlemen. We salute the divinity in you, respect the divinity in you. I humbly bow before you, Wilson. Thank you for coming on the channel today. Thank you for showing up.
Yep.
And we're gonna definitely, you guys make sure you check his channel out on YouTube. What's Wakundama on YouTube, right, Wilson?
Yep. So you can get Wakundama on YouTube and Wakundama on Instagram.
Okay, so you guys make sure you go like Wilson. Make sure you join the tribe. Make sure you show him some love and salute the divinity in him. Wilson, we have to definitely do this again. I appreciate you. I'll humbly bow before you, and it's been a pleasure, my brother.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good one.